The grand chandelier sparkled above them, casting golden light over a hall filled with people who smiled. But not all of them meant it. Jeon Jungkook stood tall, cold, unreadable as always. A CEO feared by employees, respected by rivals, and envied by the elite. And beside him, Kim Taehyung, soft, gentle, beautiful in a quiet way, dressed in a simple yet elegant white suit. His hands trembled slightly as he held Jungkook's arm. This world was not his, not the luxurious hall, not the wealthy guests, not the judging eyes, and definitely not the family standing just a few steps away. Jungkook's mother, her lips curved into a polite smile, but her eyes cold, sharp, unforgiving rested on Taehyung like he didn't belong. Because in her heart, he didn't. Are you sure about this, Jungkook? She had asked just days ago. He has nothing. No family, no background, no status. Just love. And for Jungkook, that was enough. I'm not marrying his background, Jungkook had replied coldly. I'm marrying him. That was the end of the conversation. Or so it seemed. Jungkook didn't look at the crowd. He looked only at Taehyung. For a brief second, his cold expression softened just enough for Taehyung to notice. That small moment was enough. Enough to make Taehyung believe that love could survive anything. But not everyone in that hall shared that belief. At the front row sat Jungkook's mother, her posture rigid, her lips pressed into a thin line of disapproval. Beside her, Jungkook's sister leaned slightly forward, whispering with barely concealed irritation. I still don't understand, she muttered. Out of everyone, he chose him? His mother didn't respond immediately. Her eyes were fixed on Taehyung. He'll never belong here, she finally said. The vows were simple. Jungkook's voice was steady. I choose you. That was all. No long promises, no poetic declarations. Just those three words. But coming from him, they meant everything. Taehyung's voice trembled slightly. I've already chosen you, a long time ago. And just like that, they were married. The mansion was too big. Taehyung realized it the moment he stepped inside after the wedding. The ceilings were high, the walls decorated with expensive art. Perfect decoration, but no warmth, no welcome. It didn't feel like a home. Make yourself comfortable, Jungkook said, already loosening his tie. You'll get used to it, he said without turning back. Taehyung nodded, even though Jungkook couldn't see him. I will. And he meant it. Because this was his new life. Because Jungkook was here. That was enough. Days passed. Then weeks. Jungkook became busier. Meetings, trips, calls, late nights, early mornings. Sometimes he didn't come home at all. And Taehyung, he stayed, waiting. Every day, in the beginning, he tried. He tried to help, to belong, to fit into a family that never wanted him. Good morning, mother. Silence. I made tea. I don't drink things made by strangers. He tried everything. Cooking meals, decorating the house, learning how to behave like someone who belonged in this world. But nothing changed. Jungkook's sister ignored him. His mother criticized him. Servants whispered behind his back. He's just lucky. He'll be thrown out soon. Taehyung never replied, never argued, never complained. Because at night, when Jungkook finally came home, when he sat beside him, when he rested his head against his shoulder, when Jungkook whispered softly, how was the day? Taehyung always smiled. Yeah, it was good, but I missed you a lot. Because he believed something simple, something heartbreaking. As long as Jungkook loves me, I can endure anything. Rain poured heavily that night. Dark clouds swallowed the sky, and thunder echoed like something was about to break. Inside the mansion, something already had. Jungkook stood in the living room, his jaw clenched, eyes colder than ever before. A file was clenched tightly in his hand. The door opened softly. Taehyung stepped in, slightly drenched from the rain, holding a small bag of groceries. I made your favorite. Stop. The word cut through the air like a blade. Taehyung froze. Something was wrong. Very wrong. Taehyung's heart dropped. Jungkook. But Jungkook didn't answer. He threw his coat aside, his sharp gaze locking onto Taehyung like a storm ready to explode. How long were you planning to lie to me? Taehyung froze. What? Jungkook let out a bitter laugh. Don't act innocent. I don't understand. Of course you don't, Jungkook snapped, stepping closer. That's what you're good at, right? Acting. Each word felt like a blade. Taehyung shook his head, panic rising. Jungkook, please, just tell me what happened. What happened? Jungkook's voice rose. What happened is that I finally saw the truth. Taehyung's chest tightened. Truth? Jungkook's eyes were cold. Cruel. The truth that you married me for my money. Silence. Complete silence. As if the world itself had stopped breathing. Taehyung blinked. Once. Twice. What? His voice was barely a whisper. Jungkook stepped closer, his presence overwhelming. Don't deny it. I'm not. I saw the documents. Jungkook shouted. Transferred funds, hidden accounts. You think I wouldn't find out? Taehyung's mind spun. I didn't do anything like that, I swear. Stop lying. Jungkook grabbed his shoulders harshly. Do you think I'm stupid? Taehyung flinched, tears instantly filling his eyes. Tell me something, Taehyung. His voice was low, dangerously calm. Was it always this easy for you? I would never, Jungkook. Please, you have to believe me. Believe you? Jungkook laughed bitterly. I did believe. Jungkook snapped. His voice echoed through the mansion. For months, I trusted you. He stepped closer. Too close. And this is what you were doing behind my back? Taehyung shook his head desperately. I never lied to you. I love you. Love, Jungkook scoffed. People like you don't know what love is. That broke something. Completely. Taehyung's voice cracked. People like me? Yes, Jungkook said coldly. People who come from nothing and are willing to do anything to rise. Tears fell silently down Taehyung's face, each word cutting deeper than the last. You think I used you? Jungkook didn't hesitate. Yes, that single word destroyed everything. I waited for you every night. His voice was barely a whisper. I endured everything, your family, their words. He looked up, eyes full of pain Jungkook refused to see. And you think I stayed for money? For a second, just 1 second. Jungkook hesitated, but his anger was louder than his heart. Get out of my sight. And just like that, the man Taehyung loved became the one who broke him. Days passed. Jungkook didn't speak to him, didn't look at him, didn't ask anything, as if Taehyung already didn't exist. The hospital room smelled like antiseptic. Cold, empty, just like Taehyung felt inside. He sat alone, hands resting on his lap, eyes unfocused. The doctor's words echoed again and again in his mind. Congratulations, you're pregnant. At first, he couldn't breathe. Then, he smiled, actually smiled, for the first time in weeks. A small, fragile hope bloomed in his chest. A piece of Jungkook, a reason to hold on. But that hope didn't last long, because reality came crashing back. Jungkook's words, his anger, his disbelief. You married me for money. Taehyung's hand slowly moved to his stomach, trembling. How do I tell you? He whispered to himself. How do I tell someone who doesn't even believe me anymore? Days passed. He didn't tell Jungkook. Not once. He waited, hoping things would change, hoping Jungkook would come back to him, hoping for something impossible. But instead, things only got worse. Cold glances, sharp words, endless silence. Taehyung grew weaker. Sleepless nights, endless crying, silent suffering. He stopped eating properly, stopped smiling, stopped hoping. One afternoon, the pain started. Sharp, sudden, unforgiving. Taehyung gasped, clutching his stomach as he collapsed onto the cold floor. His vision blurred. His body trembled. Please, no, not this. Tears streamed down his face as he curled into himself. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. But apologies couldn't stop it. Love couldn't save it. And pain didn't care. By the time he reached the hospital, it was too late. The doctor's voice was soft, but the words were brutal. I'm sorry, we couldn't save the baby. Something inside Taehyung died with those words. He didn't scream, didn't cry, didn't react. He just stared at the ceiling, as if his soul had quietly left his body. The doctor hesitated. You were under a lot of stress, your condition. But Taehyung didn't listen, because all he could hear was one thing. You married me for money. And suddenly, everything made sense. Love wasn't enough. It never was. When he came back home, the house looked the same, felt the same, cold, empty, unforgiving. Jungkook was there, sitting, working, as if nothing had changed. Taehyung looked at him for a long moment and realized something. He couldn't stay. Not anymore. I want a divorce. Jungkook looked up sharply. For the first time in days. What? Taehyung's voice was calm. Too calm. I'm leaving. Jungkook frowned. Because you got caught? Taehyung didn't react, didn't argue, didn't defend himself. Because what was the point? Say something, Jungkook demanded. Explain yourself. Taehyung looked at him, and for the first time, there was no love in his eyes, only emptiness. I lost something, Taehyung said quietly. Jungkook's brows furrowed. What does that even mean? Taehyung's lips trembled slightly, but he didn't cry. Not anymore. Something you don't deserve to know about. And that was the cruelest punishment. Not anger, not revenge, but silence. Jungkook felt something unfamiliar twist in his chest. Taehyung, but Taehyung had already turned away. Because this time, he wasn't waiting anymore. He walked out of the house, out of the marriage, out of the life he once thought was everything. And Jungkook stood there, for the first time, not angry, not cold, but uneasy, because something told him he didn't just lose an argument, He lost something far more important,